Good morning, children. In the last class, we tried to understand the debates that were held in the adopting of Indian Constitution. So we were actually discussing about the making of the Indian Constitution, the background of making of Indian Constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has moved a resolution in the Constituent Assembly to pass the draft Constitution. So he mentioned in his speech very clearly that if this draft Constitution is put in the hands of a constitutional law student, he will ask two questions. One is, what is the form of the Constitution and what is the form of the government that is envisaged in the Constitution? These are the two different questions, children. First, let me tell you once again, let me repeat them once again very clear. What is the form of the government envisaged in the Constitution? Form of the government, first question. Second question is, what is the form of the Constitution itself? So yesterday we tried to understand what is the form of the government. So we tried to understand the difference between American president and Indian president, and finally we have come to a conclusion that we follow a parliamentary form of government. So one answer is very clear for that question, that the form of government followed in this constitution is parliamentary form of constitution. Then what is the form of the constitution then? There are only two forms of constitution in the world. One is unitary constitution, the other one is a federal constitution. Till in the history there are only two constitutions, and one is unitary and the other one is federal. The two essential characteristics of a unitary constitution are supremacy of the central polity. Please remember this one, supremacy of so making of Indian Constitution we were looking into. Under this, we were trying to understand about the form of the Constitution. What is the form of the Constitution we were trying to understand. So there are only two forms of Constitution. One is unitary, the other one is federal. These are the only two forms of the Constitution in history till now. Then which Constitution is called as unitary and which Constitution is called as a federal? In order to call as a unitary Constitution, the first characteristic should be there should be a supremacy of the central polity. The word polity means the system of the government organization is called as a polity. So the central polity should be supreme. That is the first characteristic to be called as a unitary constitution. The second is the absence of subsidiary polities or the subsidiary what we call governments. So when there is an absence of the lower governments, the absence of the subsidiary polities, then such a constitution is called as a unitary constitution. That means supremacy of a central polity as well as the absence of subsidiary polities. If these two things are present, then such a constitution is called as unitary constitution. If these two things are not present, then such constitution is called as federal constitution. I think contrary, opposite to unitary is a federal. So in the federal constitution, there is a existence of central polity along with the state polities side by side, whereas each being sovereign in the field assigned to it. In other words, federation means establishment of a dual polity. Dual means two polities, that means two governments. In our country, we have central government as well as state government, two governments, dual polities, dual governments. Such a kind of constitution existence is called as a federal or federation. So federal constitution, in as much as it establishes what may be called as a dual polity, this dual polity under the proposed constitution will consist of the union at the center and states at the surface, at the periphery. So each endowed with the sovereign power. Central government will function on the subjects which are assigned to it, whereas state government will also function sovereignly on the subjects which are assigned to it. So in their own field, they have respective power under the constitution. This dual polity resembles the American constitution. The American polity is also a dual polity. American polity is also a dual polity. One of it is known as the federal constitution or federal government, and the other states which corresponded respectively to the union government and the state governments of the draft constitution. Under the American constitution, the federal government is not a league of the states, nor the state administrative units or agencies of the federal government. In the same way, even in the Indian constitution, under the Indian constitution proposed, the draft constitution is not a league of states or the states administrative units or agencies of the union government, but however the similarities between the Indian and the American constitution is come to an end only with the name. The differences that distinguish them are more fundamental and glaring than the similarities between the two. There are similarities are there as well as differences are there between the American constitution and Indian constitution. Both are Indian polities, but there is a basic difference between the Indian Federation and the American Federation. The proposed Indian constitution is a dual polity with a single citizenship, whereas in the American under the American constitution you have dual citizenship. Dual citizenship means you have state citizenship as well as the union citizenship, but whereas in India there is a single citizenship and there is no state citizenship here. Every Indian has the same rights of citizenship no matter in what state he resides, whether you are from Kashmir, whether you are from Bengal, whether you are from Tamil Nadu, whether you are from Telangana. But the citizenship is only one. But whereas in America, if you live in states like Illinois, the Illinois state citizenship will be different and the United States of America citizenship is different. And there is also a special feature of the proposed Indian Federation which distinguishes it from other federations like America. A federation being a dual polity based on divided authority with a separate legislative, executive and judiciary powers for each of these two polities is bound to produce a diversity in laws, because the laws which are passed at the state government are different and the laws prepared and passed in the central government will be different. In order to remove this one, up to certain point the diversity does not matter, but it may be welcomed as being an attempt to accommodate the power of the government to local needs as well as to accommodate the powers of the government of the local circumstances. You can accommodate those powers, but this very diversity will have 20 states in the union of very different laws for marriage, for divorce, for agreements, for inheritance, for property, for family, for contracts. So it creates a lot of hue and cry, a lot of mess it creates if there are 20 different laws in the state and 20 different laws for the union. Such a state of affairs not only weakens the state but becomes intolerant to the citizens. They also become very intolerant, and they who moves from one state to another state finds what is lawful in one state and what is unlawful in another state. So the thing which is good here may become bad in another state if there are different laws in this state and another state. But whereas in India, if it is a crime in Telangana, it is a crime everywhere in India. But whereas in America, okay, if it is a crime here, it may be a good thing in another part of the state. In another state, it may be a right one, a lawful thing. So there will be a uniformity of the laws in India on all basic matters which are essential to maintain the unity of the country. This means these means have been adopted by the Indian Constitution. There are three things. One is single judiciary. The second one is uniformity in fundamental laws, civil and criminal laws. And third one is a common all India services to man important posts like IAS and IPS will be recruited at the central level but will be working under the state government. About these three things, one is singly judiciary. Judiciary means all the courts in the country are called as judiciary. Second thing is the uniformity in the fundamental laws of civil and criminal cases. And third one is all India services. About these three things we shall see in the next class, children. Thank you.